everybody. Welcome. Sorry I missed last week. It was a big, long week in general. And so when Jeff called off his game night, I said, I am really exhausted too, so I will just miss tonight as well. And so I was really thankful that we took the week off, and although I only have a couple of projects tonight instead of 3, I am super excited about them. And it's showcasing a couple of things that are in the new holiday catalog, which I think is in the other room. So I'm excited to share those tonight. I just officially had my 3rd Stampin' Up! Anniversary yesterday on my birthday. So I have now been with Stampin' Up! As a demonstrator for 3 years, and I have loved all of it. So from meeting a ton of people that I would have never stepped out of my comfort zone to meet online with a similar interest that I have friends all across the United States into Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and it's just been a really, really cool experience. So I hope to meet a lot more of them than I have someday. It's been happening very slowly for me, but I know that I'll get to meet more of them soon. Thanks, Susan. Yeah, Susan is one of my Pink Stamper sisters. So I am excited to share these projects with you. A couple of things that I wanted to go over. If you purchased in the month of August, you would have received what are called bonus days coupons, and they expire tonight, after tonight. So tonight is the last day that you can use those coupons, and those $5 coupons are huge when you're talking about crafting things. So hi Laura, hi Kayla. So if you have any of those coupons that you earned in the month of August, be sure to use those up by tonight, or they will just disappear. So I just thought I would remind everybody of that. Another really fun thing that I wanted to talk about is we were just told about some pretty fun news that's going to happen tomorrow that I can share a little bit of tonight, in how next Saturday is World Card Making Day. And so I'm going to try to come up with something fun on my blog, and maybe on my Facebook page to share, maybe projects or challenges throughout the day, to just make it a little bit more fun and bring out and inspire some creativity. I'm not going to promise that it's going to be super exciting because I am just thinking of it. But I'm going to try really hard to have a couple of things there, and I'm excited about what that could be. So that is the second thing. But because of World Card Making Day, Stampin' Up! Is actually going to have certain items are going to be 10% off. And so I do know that there will be some adhesives, there will be some stamp sets, there will be some, I saw a couple of 12 by 12 paper of just the cardstock, 12 by 12. And I know that there is at least 2 card kits that will be 10% off as well. That special is going to run from October 1st, which is tomorrow, through October 7th. So, hi Nate. So if you want to hop on tomorrow, I will post a list tomorrow on this Facebook page with all those specials and deals, with a link to my my Stampin' Up! Online store, for anyone who is interested in doing some shopping and celebrating with the National Card Making Day. And those will be really great deals for that promotion. So I will share that information tomorrow. Let me think if there's anything else. If it gets loud, Jeff is home again today because he had a headache, but he's playing a video game downstairs right under me, and so it's kind of like shaking the floor every once in a while. So if there's some rumbling sounds, don't be alarmed. He's probably having fun. So we both got to, we were both up pretty early today. He played drums this morning for church, and then he preached 2 services, so he was pretty exhausted. So I got my usual Sunday nap, which I was very thankful for, but he took one too because of his head really hurting. This new health journey that he's been on has been a big journey for our family and a very big learning curve. So I feel that we are having to take many more of those moments just to take deep breaths and be present and learn about things together. But it's also draining us in a way that I didn't anticipate. And just so taking us through processes that are just different and new. So we're just adjusting and we're working on it together as a family. So that's just a little bit more about me for those of you that don't know that part that's going on. I'm super proud of him for the progress that he's making. He will have his 3rd weigh-in tomorrow. And in the last 2 weigh-ins, he lost a little over 20 pounds. So he is just almost 3 weeks tomorrow into a 2-year commitment. So I'm excited for him that he's held strong, even though I had a birthday yesterday and we went to Famous Dave's to celebrate, and he had to try really hard to stick to exactly what he could have in his diet. So I'm really proud of him for not wanting us to not do normal things that we would do, but also just learn how to adjust together. So I'm going to flip us around, and I'm going to hope that where I have my mount placed, it's going to be good, because I had all of my stuff taken down because we had some company come and stay in our guest room, which I kind of share with my craft room. So anytime we have company, I have to kind of fold everything up and condense it into different areas, and then pull things out of closets and cupboards when I want to work on projects. So I set it back up today, and I did not practice the mount. So just bear with me when I'm flipping things around, and we will get started. So I'm going to flip us around and hope that I don't shake everybody like crazy. And we will see. It seems a little high, but maybe it's okay. We're just I'm gonna try not to shake you while I'm doing this, but I'm gonna attach the cord. And it's probably gonna shake a little bit so that it doesn't hang funny. So tonight we are going to work with a couple of designer series paper pieces that I love out of our holiday catalog. So I'm just gonna look up really fast. I think the first card we're going to work on today will be with this piece. Hi, Julianne. So I'm just going to set up my computer so that I can see comments coming in, and we will get started here. So I'm going to grab out those designer series paper packs so that I can show you. Let me see if I can find them. There we go. So that you can see them as a whole. I tried to get organized tonight, and sometimes that is easier said than done. So I just thought I would share. The first one we are going to be working with, I pulled out because of this beautiful copper foil paper. And the cool thing about this designer series paper is that sometimes when we have the copper or silver or foil accents in our designer series paper, the reverse side is just blank. And so it's not often reversible. But for this particular paper pack, they also have all of the images are on both sides. Jules, okay, I'm sorry. That's a good thing to learn. I'll try. I totally know how that feels. We usually pull out the middle names when the kids are in trouble. So, but this paper is so amazingly beautiful. And I'm going to show little bits, as much as I can there, of just the different kinds of the Designer Series paper. And all of one side has the foil accents. You can kind of see them shimmery there. And it's kind of reflecting off of my light. Now I'm going to flip it. I'm going to flip it over, and these are the reverse sides. So one side will have a foil accent, and one side will not. And this one is from the Joyous Noel Specialty Designer Series paper. And it is so, so beautiful. It comes with, let me see if it says how many, 12 sheets. So 12 of the sheets will have the foil on one side and 12 of the sides will not. So that is the paper pack that we are using first. And I have done a little bit of pre-cutout work, but this one is going to also feature something that I used for the first time yesterday, but I had ordered a couple of different ones of them. But this is going to feature our shimmer paint, shimmery paint. And this is the Bright Copper shimmer paint. And I was a little bit nervous about this paint when I saw it in the catalog, because I love the embossing stuff and I really like the embossing paste, but I have to be prepared to spend a lot of time cleaning after it, and I kind of need to know what I'm doing before I try a little bit. So we are both going to use the copper embossing powder for our sentiment, and then we are going to do accents with the shimmer paint on this card. And I know that these look like Christmas or fall colors, but we are going to actually be making a birthday card. We're going to use this adorable sprigs, holiday sprig, which almost kind of looks like antlers to me as well. So I'm excited to test that out on different things. So the color that we're using on this card is Tranquil Tide. And I'm sorry for my lighting. It's a little bit bright. But our sentiment is going to be coming from the Best Birds stamp set. This is a stamp set that has been in the catalog for a couple of years, I think now. But I really liked the font in that. And so we're going to stamp that sentiment Happy Birthday with Versamark, and we will be embossing it with that copper. And so we will be using Versamark on 2 of our projects. So I just had to set some stuff aside for the next one. And we're going to work on our embossing first, our dry embossing, because this shimmer paint takes a little bit of time to dry. And so I just want to do our accents on that first, and then we will get started on our dry embossing. And so what we're going to do first is I'm going to take this piece of cardstock. We're doing a layered look, but we're going to take this layer and go through our Big Shot and do the corrugated embossing folder. And this is cut at 5 1/4 by 4 inches, just to layer right on top of our 4 1/4 by 11. 4 1/4 by 11. I had to remember because this card is going to open this way. So it is 4 1/4 wide by 11 long. So that'll be the layer over the top. So I'm going to grab my Big Shot really fast in my corrugated embossing folder. And I'm going to bring it over to the table. And I'll try really hard not to shake like crazy. Since my mount is not connected. So this is the corrugated embossing folder. This is a Textured Impressions embossing folder that is a dynamic, because that is how thick they are and how much they take less plates when going through the Big Shot. So we are going to place our layer right inside of that embossing folder, and we're going to put it through our Big Shot by using one clear plate, which is very, very loved and starting to bend a little bit, and then our Big Shot platform. So those are the only two things that you will need to put your embossing folder through your Big Shot. And this one seems to go through so fast compared to some of the dies that I've been running through. So I'll set that aside. I did most of our die cutting ahead of time because some of this takes a little bit of time. So that is what, yeah, this embossing folder is so cool. It really does remind me of some of those like cardboard things that are put inside of packages, but they have such a fun texture. And so when I saw that embossing folder, I knew that I wanted to try some things with it. And I am going to show you something that I tried with this copper paint. And then I used, this is just a case from the Sprig punch, actually. So that is the punch that we'll be using. That's the little packaging that it came in. And then I have just a little sponge wedge that it doesn't feel too bad. But we are going to use our copper paint, and I just have a really simple paintbrush to put it onto our clear bag here. So all I did was I stuck my paintbrush in the paint and I put it on our clear bag. I'm going to do it one more time. I will tell you, there was almost a huge mess in my craft room this afternoon because, and then I'm going to just take a paper towel and wipe it off that way. I will be using the paintbrush here again in a second because we are going to go around our, one of our dies with the copper paint as well. So I'm going to put the lid back on for right now because I don't know how picky it is with having the lid off. But what we're going to do is we're going to take our sponge with that paint on there. We're just going to pick up just a little bit of that paint, and then I'll hold it up here so that you guys can see a little bit. So we're just going to kind of, it almost is like a distressing what we're doing with the paint, just to show a little bit. It doesn't have to be in specific places. In fact, if it has some darker, hi Kathy, some darker spots, as well as some that the Tranquil Tide really comes through, I'm not pressing super hard on that, but it just adds a really fun element to that corrugated embossing folder. So that is all we're going to do on that. And then I'm going to set that aside to let it dry just a little bit. And then I wanted to show that I kind of made a boo-boo. I cut this circle out from this. This was the first one, and it was a little bit too dark. I wanted to put my sentiment over this, but I forgot that I was going to use this one, and I cut my sprig out. So there's a little bit of die cutting that we have to do, but we're going to do a little bit of our embossing first. So I just need to find here's one, my piece of paper for my embossing powder so that it doesn't go everywhere. Hi, Mama. and we are going to do our sentiment really fast. I also realized that I do not have a good, I moved some plugins around, so we're just taking our happy birthday sentiment with our Versamark ink pad, and I'm just inking that up real good. My plug-in that I use for my heat gun is moved onto a different side of the room. So I'm going to do this part off camera. Hopefully it'll go quick and you can bear with me a little bit on that. So this is the copper embossing powder. And I, again, in typical me fashion, I forgot to do my embossing buddy, but it looks like it came out okay. So we just are going to emboss that really quickly. I'm going to pour that powder back in there. But I was telling you, there was also almost a big mess because I was moving things over here and I had my embossing powder open on here and somehow it got shifted and I caught it before it fell off of my table onto my floor, making a huge mess. So I was just very thankful to catch it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this over here really fast and turn on my heat tool and try to do this quick. And I'll show you as soon as I'm done what it looks like. Because my outlet is gone. So this goes really fast. And thankfully the embossing parts that we're going to do are both fairly quick. So that is what the copper embossing powder with Versamark looks like, and it just is beautiful on that. So we are going to take a stitched circle framelit from the Stitch Shapes framelit dies, and we are going to use the second circle, and I'm going to really hope that I can get it where it fits on there without the sprig. It might be close. I'll be close. So I'm going to get our Big Shot out. And this time I'm using the Big Shot with the magnetic platform, which is this white one here, as well as the precision base plate. And I usually keep them together unless I have a die that really needs the magnet to hold stronger on there. So what we're going to do is we're going to run that through and hope that it does the whole circle even though the sprig was there. And then we're going to use the rest of this cardstock. Oh, it's so close. We might have to cover that little corner because it's got a corner out there. We might have to cover that up with the sprig so that it doesn't show. So that will be our sentiment on our card. I don't even know that we'll notice it once the other layer is on there. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to put this away on the other side. And we are going to get out our sprig punch. And the reason we're going to do this next is because we are going to do the edges of the sprig with our copper shimmer paint. We're going to do the little tips in copper, and it looks really cool. So that is something that I tried. We're just going to do a couple, and then we're going to take this little paintbrush. So that is the sprig punch. We're going to take this little paintbrush with some of the paint that is left on our bag here, and we're just going to tap a little bit on the tips of the little sprig. So the thicker that you put the paint on, the longer it will take to dry. So I'm trying, oh, so sorry. I'm trying to stop the, oh, have fun, Kathy. Totally, you can watch the replay. I'm going to try to put it on my YouTube channel tonight, as well as get it up on my blog as well. So it'll be available. So that is what those little sprigs are gonna look like. We're just taking some of that extra paint so that it doesn't go to waste. So we'll do this side. I got done with, we came home after dinner last night and got the kids through their showers before bed, because Saturdays are a big shower night around here, just to make sure you're fresh for church tomorrow. So that is what those sprigs are gonna be like. We're just gonna let that dry really fast. And then while we're doing that, we're going to take I just cut a scalloped circle using our Layering Circles Framelit dies. And we are going to take as much of this as we can, and then we'll go into it. But I didn't have any copper foil sheets, but I wanted to add more copper elements to this card. And so I got to thinking about whether or not this would work. Just putting a little bit of the copper shimmer paint around this scallop. And it really came out really pretty. So I ended up needing to pull out my paintbrush to do more paint, or get more paint out of the little jar. But it was a fun technique and fun process. So we'll use as much as we can off of here, and maybe we won't need to open it. But it just gives a little bit more shine and shimmer around the edge of our sentiment, because we're going to put this underneath our just embossed piece that we just made. The burlap, I will tell you, let's see, where did I put it? It's gone. Is it hiding under here? Uh-oh. I am missing, here it is, that piece that we cut out that has a little notch in it. This little piece right here that looks kind of like burlap is actually from that same Best Birds stamp set as well. So I tried to use coordinating things tonight, keeping it to one stamp set, and then maybe one, it's so hard when I have so many, one set of framelits. So this one will have two. You could have just used the Layering Circles framelits to get a scalloped edge, as well as a straight edge, but I really like that stitched shape around the edge. So we're gonna put that layered over the top of our sentiment, just like that. So we're gonna actually let it dry just a little bit. But that is the painting that we will be doing on that card. And I think that's the only one we're gonna paint as well. So that shimmer paint, I mean, I barely used any out of there. So this thing is gonna last forever. It will probably go bad before I use it all. So it's a great investment. Actually, I will see if I can find how much it is for one container. It is $8. So this $8 paint will last for so long. So I'm going to move this little wedge, that little sponge wedge, and I could probably run that sponge through some warm soapy water and get that that ink or paint out of it, so that I can have a clean sponge. I'll probably do that when we're done, but not a huge deal. Those sponges last me a really long time as well, so no big deal. So now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna see. Last night I used my heat tool to kind of dry my image a little bit better. We are also going to do something really fun. We can do that while these pieces are drying. And we are going to take our snail adhesive, and I'm gonna show you my new little kit thing. So I saw another demonstrator use these boxes. These are the This is a stamp case for a wood mount stamp. You can buy them in packs of 4, just empty clear boxes. But I put some adhesive in here, some glue dots in here, my snips, my paper piercer, and my bone folder. And that way, if I, like I said, I've been going to different areas in my house to do any crafting that I've been doing. So it has been nice just to put all of my, I use these things on almost every project that I do. So it's been nice to put them all into one location that I can just move around from place to place with me. So I can't remember how much 4 of these are, but I'll look it up, and if anyone's curious, I can let you know. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this foil designer series paper, and we're going to put adhesive on all 4 sides of that, because we are layering it onto something that has a lot of texture, and is very, it's not a soft, smooth surface. And so what we're going to do is we're going to put it almost all the way at the bottom, but we're going to leave a little bit at the bottom, just so that we can see it all there. So we can see a little bit of the shimmer paint from the bottom. So that is where we're going to put that, and with how much adhesive I used, that should really work nicely. And now what we're going to do is I want to show you a fun layering thing that I did with our Tranquil Tide mini ruffled ribbon. This ribbon is so beautiful. And what we're going to do is we're going to layer our copper trim over the top of it, because it fits right in this that little space right here really well. So I was super happy with how it came out. So we are going to do that while the rest of our paint is drying. This project, I did not time my projects for tonight, but we're only going to do 2, so I'm hoping that we come pretty close. Hi, Pam. Pamela. So I'm just going to measure out, and all we're going to do is we're going to put some Scotch tape on the back of this to hold it down. And we're not going to tie a bow either, because we're going to put the sprigs kind of over as an accent. So I'm just going to, whoa, so sorry. That kind of got away from me. I forgot there was a piece of tape on there. So we're going to put that at the top of our designer series paper, and we're just going to put a couple extra pieces of tape to hold that ruffled ribbon down, because when we put our adhesive down, oh, thanks. I'm working on sending out prizes for those who share my live. So if you come on and you think others might want to see or watch what we're making tonight and be inspired, you guys can share my post with your friends by copying the link or just sharing directly from here. And then those who share, I will do a drawing, and you will either get a couple of handmade cards from me, or I might send some embellishments or a card kit. I have lots of extra goodies all around my craft space. So what we're doing here, since I was talking while I was cutting it, is we're just going to leave this trim as it is. Sometimes I'll spread it apart, but we're going to leave it as it is, and we're just going to line it up right directly in the middle of that ruffle. So we have a lot of shimmer going on in this card, but it's super, super pretty for a birthday card, and birthdays are special. So I feel like that is a very welcomed time for extra shimmer and shine. So that is what that is going to look like once that is put together, all that beautiful copper on there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put it on our base. And again, our base is cut 4 1/4 by 11, because I cut it vertically. for that. And then this is, again, it's a tone on tone. So we used a lot of Tranquil Tides and copper, and with a tiny little bit of a lighter color in our designer series paper. I think that may be just a stamped off version of the Tranquil Tide, but it also kind of looks like it has some mint hues to it. So we're gonna, again, put adhesive all the way around, and I'm gonna actually put a couple in the middle as well, because we want this to hold to our base and not pop up in the envelope when we send our card out. So I'm just going to press that down on there, and then we will layer our other piece here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to leave that little niche in there. I think it's going to be fine. Nobody's going to really worry about it. Not big enough of a deal. So I'm just going to put snail adhesive on the back of this stitched shape circle, and we're going to put it so that you can have enough of a border around it that you can see a little bit around the edges. I probably could have done a little bit better job getting it centered, but I think that is just fine. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take our little sprigs, and they are going to get put like this. Let's see if I can get them just right, like that, on the back of our image, just like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip that over. I have one piece of Scotch tape that we are going to put over just right there, just to hold it on that little edge there. And now we are going to pop this whole thing up with Stampin' Dimensionals. And I think the pack that I have in here right now is from a Paper Pumpkin kit that I had extra dimensionals for, because they feel a little bit more firm than the other ones sometimes are. And I've used quite a bit of the edges as well. So I like to use up all of my dimensionals, even the edges, because they still work. They're still good. So I use a lot of them. So now we're just going to pick the backings off of all these dimensionals, and we are almost done. Oh, of course that happened. Just when I think I was getting good at doing multiples, that's what's going to happen. So we're going to put this on just like the middle right here. And then we're going to push down, and that is our cute birthday card. So this is the one that I did last night, and then this is the one from today. Super easy, but really fancy. I mean, that was not that hard to use that shimmer paint with that sponge. It was super, super easy. And it's amazing what that little extra shimmer can do. It might be a little busy for some. You can kind of tone it down a little bit wherever you want to. If you wanted just a solid back or a lighter colored sentiment on there to bring out different parts of the cards that you want to feature. But I thought birthdays are a time to be more fancy. So that is the first card. And then the next card is actually a fun fold card that I actually learned from Rhonda Wade a few weeks ago, or maybe even a couple weeks ago. It's been so long since I've watched her live, because I've started working in the afternoon or in the mornings on Wednesdays, and so I've missed the last couple of her lives. But she did a fun fold card using designer series paper. And this is cut 4 inches by 12. So this is just, you could actually get 3 cards out of one sheet of designer series paper. And so this paper, just so that you can see the other paper from that same pack, this is from the Festive Farmhouse designer series paper. And this one was a little bit tricky because I the more I looked at it, the more I was like, well, should I have had a Whisper White or Very Vanilla? And so this piece is Very Vanilla, but it also has a lot of Whisper White hues in this designer series paper, and I'm not going to pull it all out, but it has both Whisper White and Very Vanilla. So it was hard for me to pick which color I wanted to put on the inside of my card. So these are just some of the other paper from this pack here. Beautiful, beautiful Christmas tones in the colors. And this one is actually not going to be a Christmas card. It is going to be a Thinking of You card, and we are going to use the stamp set from the Rooted in Nature stamp set. We're going to use Thinking of You, and then we're going to use this leaf as well. So this card I thought was going to be so much more difficult, and it's so fast and easy. So we're going to use white embossing powder for our sentiment there, and we are also going to use this polka dot tulle ribbon in the Whisper White. This comes in both Whisper White and Very Vanilla, so either one of the this will work with this color of cardstock really well. So I have my little example there, and I think I have all of my pieces out, but I wanted to show you how to score your 4x12 paper to make this card. So the lives that I watch from other crafting friends are so inspiring to me, and sometimes when I'm feeling like I'm not as creative, or I'm just out of ideas and I'm not sure where to go, those are my favorite places to be, is just being inspired by other demonstrators or other crafting friends, because we do really make each other better by just learning and growing with each other. So I have the measurements written down somewhere. I should find them really quick. Okay, so our score line is going to be at 4 1/4, and I'm going to do it on this side for right now. So we're going to put it at 4 1/4, and make sure you use your scoring blade and not your cutting blade, because then you will be starting all over again. So we're going to score it at 4 1/4, and then I'm going to pull my little arm out there, and then we're scoring it at 9 1/2, and that is, I think, actually, yeah. So those are the two score marks, and I'll hold it so you can kind of see a little bit. So this is, again, 4 inches by 12 inches, and this, you can get three of these cards by using one sheet of a 12 by 12 designer series paper. So what we're going to do is we're going to fold, and we're going to use the wood grain for the outside of our card, just because I love the wood grain. I thought about getting one of the darker wood grain to put on the top somewhere, but I really liked how this is mostly just a tone-on-tone kind of night. So we are using the Cherry Cobbler, and we'll do a little bit of our stamping here before we start putting our card together. So this is a Cherry Cobbler ink, and this is with the old case for both of those inks tonight, because I just got them not long before they had their revamp with the color revamp. So we're going to use this leaf here, and this is on the clear mount stamps from the Rooted in Nature, and I took my paper snips and I just went around the edge just to get any excess stamp off of it, so that's why it looks kind of choppy. But oh, thanks, Jules. So I'm going to stamp in the ink, and then I'm going to stamp off onto my paper, and then I'm going to use the top here. So stamp and then stamp. So we're going to do this all along the top part of this this designer series paper part, just to give a little bit more detail to the top of our card here, this fun fold card. Just a little bit of extra fun on the top. So what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna do one more little bit there. Okay, so now we are going to also take this is the same size of the stitch shape circle that we cut out for our sentiment on the last card. And what we're going to do is we're just going to do a full strength, which means we're going to just stamp the first time on this cherry cobbler paper, and then we're going to put our sentiment, the thinking of you, over the top of it, and we're going to emboss that in white. So on my tester, I learned that my cherry cobbler was not quite dry enough. So some of my embossing powder got onto my image on my crumb cake circle, and you can't really tell that I had stamped on it in that darker leaf. So we're going to let that dry just a little bit more, and we're going to start putting our other pieces together while that is drying quick. But before we do that, I am going to wash my stamps really fast. And I will tell you that I learned something about the new cases. And I mean, they've had these new ones for a long time, but I just got these this month. And so it is the Stampin' Scrub. And when you get it, both sides have the same exact, they have the same exact feet and the same exact markings on them. So I was like, okay, well, how am I going to tell which is the top and which is the bottom? Because they both look exactly the same. So that is why I put a piece of washi tape on my cleaner, my Stampin' Scrub, because usually I keep the top for washing and the bottom for drying. And so that way the dirtier one is usually this one, and then when I clean it, I'm consistent, so I know which one is the top and which one is the bottom. So which one is going to be harder to clean, or I'm going to need to spend more time on it. So that is what I did to help me remember which one is the top and bottom. So now we are going to take our, I'll move that piece for a second. We are going to actually take and fold down a little bit. It's about an inch. We're not going to be too picky about it. I am going to use my bone folder though, just to give a little bit of that extra color. That's something that Rhonda did that I thought was so cool. And then with our stamping on the top, it looks really pretty too. So we are going to actually put that piece down with some snail adhesive. And I'm just going to take one and a little bit more at the top. And we're going to adhere that part down. And then this white piece is actually for the inside of our card, where we can do our note to our friend. And so that is going to go in here with just enough of the border around it that you can see the little frame. So that is that one. Oh, is there an emblem, seriously, that says the top? How was I missing that? Is it on the inside? Oh, that totally would make sense. There totally is. You're so smart. There is. There's a sun, and then there's water drops. Genius. I must have not done enough research. Thanks, Jules. There, she helped too. And I probably have them backwards, so I might have to move my washi tape. Crazy. Thanks for your help on that. See, we learn from each other all the time. So what we're going to do now is I have cut a base. Now this is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And so that is just 1/4 of a normal standard card. And we are going to put this down on the top of it so that it opens up from that way. But this is going to like stabilize and kind of, some of our designer series paper is not quite as thick as our cardstock is. And so this will kind of strengthen it, and it'll hold up a lot stronger that way. Yeah. So that is how that is going to go. And as you can see, there's definitely some Whisper White hues, but when you look at it together, it almost does look like it's a very vanilla on that one. Hi, Grandma. So now our little image should be mostly dry, hopefully. We are going to go over it with our sentiment in Versamark. So this is the Thinking of You. Let me see if I can find it again. So this is from the Rooted in Nature stamp set, and we are going to use the Thinking of You sentiment from that there. And I'm just going to take my Versamark and ink up my stamp, kind of twisting it as I go, tapping, just to make sure I'm getting on all of the stamp there. And I'm going to stamp right over. I'm going to try to do this without sticking my head in. I did not think when I first looked at this, and it might be off to the left a little bit now that I stamped it, I didn't think this stamp was going to be small enough to fit on this circle when I first did it. So as you can kind of see that little tone on tone. But what we're going to do is we're going to take the white embossing powder, and I'm moving my stamp out of the way so that I don't get any of my white embossing powder over the top of it. And I'm going to dump it off and kind of tap it. I'm going to hold it like this too. There we go. I kind of pinched it a little hard. And so now for this part, again, because my plug-in has been moved to the other side, I will step it over there and do the embossing or heat setting off camera really quickly, hopefully. Get that little piece out of the way now, and then we can assemble the rest of our card. So that is what it looks like before I heat set it. The font on that sentiment is probably one of my most favorite in all of the catalog. I think this stamp sets, their sentiments are so beautiful. So I'm going to heat set that, and then we can see how it changes what it looks like. I'm going to use my heat tool really quick. Really quick. Goes a little slower. There we go. I was thinking it was taking a little bit too long there, but it's going. Little by little. I forgot we had 2 sentiments that were embossed today after I moved my stuff. So hopefully that's not too bad. So that is what it will look like once the powder has been heat set with the heat tool. And so you can kind of see a little bit better on this one than you did on my first one, that we stamped that tone on tone image behind it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add a little bit of this polka dot tulle ribbon behind it. And how I did this was I kind of like held one end that way, and then I went back, and I'll show you the back as soon as I'm done holding it out here. So I kind of went back and forth where I wanted this to stick out a little bit more, and then I trimmed my tulle, and then I messed with it in the back. So that's the craziness of how I cut and measured that ribbon with no rhyme or reason at all. And so we are going to take our ribbon right here, and we're going to use one piece of, yeah, it's super pretty with the contrast between the Whisper White and the Cherry Cobbler. So now what we're doing is it's just a matter of figuring out how much of that tulle we want hanging out. And so trying to get them to match up is ideal, but it's not super, super complicated. And then we're just gonna tape it down on the back using more Scotch tape. I usually will get Scotch tape in bulk at Christmas time. When they clearance a lot of them out at Target, I will just grab the multi-packs, and that's usually something that my kids like to run off with. I'm sure my mom had to deal with that all the time with us. But now that all of that is really stuck down good, it sticks out on both sides of that, and we're going to add that onto our card here. So we're almost done with card number 2, and I am almost right at an hour, so that came out perfectly. It was probably better that I didn't come up with a third project. I just did not have enough time to do it. So taking the backings off of our Stampin' Dimensionals that we have to hold up our card, trying to throw things away as I go a little bit better this time. Usually it just goes on the floor next to me, and then I get the vacuum in here. So that is how I put my dimensionals down. So now what we're gonna do is the top layer that we stamped is actually gonna go on the bottom, and this one is going to go, oh, I think I did dimensionals on the top. Oh well, I will move them. We're gonna improvise because I was not paying attention this time. Because the top of our circle is actually gonna be seen. So we are going to move our dimensionals down just a little bit so that we can put our sentiment right here, hopefully. Hey, that's pretty good. All right, you can still see a little bit of our tape from our ribbon there, but this is the card number 2. So you open it up like this and have that really pretty designer series paper on the inside as well. So we have so many designer series paper packs that would work with this kind of a card, that way it's so hard to choose sometimes between which one of the designer series paper we want to use, just because we like both of them. That when a card like this comes into play, it's a lot easier to choose to get to use both of them. So these are the cards that we worked on today, just to give a little bit of an idea, just 2 today. My plan is to still go live next Sunday. Hopefully I'll have 3 projects that time. But I thought that I would also share, the last couple of Fridays I have done scrapbook challenges for our team, and so I thought I would share a couple of those layouts with you as well. This was another one that I really love because of the designer series paper that I used on that one, and this one is super fun because I used a strip of vellum, and you can see through to that beautiful rose on the back. So that is a scrapbook page from the wedding that we got to go to a few weeks ago, at the beginning of September, and we got to sit at the same table with my sister-in-law and my niece. So she always takes a little bit of time to remember that she loves me. And so the fact that we were only going to see them for a couple of hours, I knew that, and we were like stuck at a table at a wedding, so we couldn't like go play. So I knew in advance that that was how much time we were going to have. And so I had all kinds of fun things in my purse, and she likes taking pictures too. So that is kind of how we warmed up to each other again. But I love how that one came out. I used our one of our punches. Oh goodness, the tailored tag punch, I believe. So I loved being able to use the different kinds of paper from that paper pack. But this piece right here that I used the full, almost the full page of it, is my favorite page of that whole paper. And so I knew I just wanted to show that paper off for that one. And then last week, I think this was my challenge on Friday. But where's the other one? Maybe that's the only one I have right now. The other one I think I showed you already. But this next Friday, yeah, Cadence is the oldest one, and then Addie's the youngest girl. They're the youngest and oldest girls right now. So this coming Friday is going to be a fun challenge as well. It's going to be a little bit more tricky, I think, for me, but we're gonna have fun with it. So I will post the scrapbook challenge if anyone wants to see what I create for that challenge. Those will be shown on Fridays. So these are the projects that we made for tonight, and I will take pictures, up close pictures, and give all of the details of what I used in these projects. Here, I'll show you a little bit close up so that you can see them a little bit closer. Give all the details of what we used and the stamp sets and products and things like that. And I will put those on my blog post later this evening. Hopefully I'll get those put up since we're getting done. And then I will also share the information tomorrow about the special for World Card Making Day, and I will share a list of the items, that are going to be 10% off. So be watching tomorrow. I will share the link to my online store as well as a picture of that list so that you can snag any of those items that you want to when you're shopping, just to get a better deal. So I had a great time with everybody tonight, and I hope you guys had fun too. I will see you all next Friday. Thanks for coming.